Why do you feel that? When you offer your kindness, the world so often responds with indifference, betrayal, or disrespect. Why does empathy, hailed as the noblest of virtues, frequently leave you exposed, manipulated, or diminished? The answer lies not in your generosity, but in the illusion that it alone can tame the chaos of human nature. Niccolò Machiavelli, the Florentine thinker who unraveled the gears of power 5 centuries ago, saw through this facade. He delivered a brutal, almost forbidden truth. Empathy, when misdirected, is a chain that binds, not a crown that exalts. It can be your ruin or your weapon if you know how to wield it. Today, you will embark on a philosophical and practical journey that dismantles this illusion. We will dissect Machiavelli's doctrine, the master who saw reality without veils. First, we will explore the 4 pillars that reveal why unchecked empathy is a deadly trap. Then, we will unveil 4 advanced tactics to transform it into a tool of power and self-mastery. This is not a mere video. It is a map to navigate the world with eyes wide open, without succumbing to the weakness of blind compassion. Prepare yourself. What you are about to learn demands courage to face reality raw and unfiltered. Empathy without limits is a weakness that invites exploitation. Machiavelli, in The Prince, warns that men are driven by self-interest, not kindness. Unrestrained empathy ignores this truth, projecting your pure intentions onto others, as if all shared your moral compass. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies by Robert Axelrod on the prisoner's dilemma show that naive cooperation is crushed by players who prioritize their own gains. Neuroscience goes further. The prefrontal cortex, which regulates empathy, can be overridden by the amygdala in competitive situations, leaving the empathetic vulnerable to emotional predators. In 1498, Florence was a crucible of political intrigue. Girolamo Savonarola, a fiery friar driven by empathy for the poor, preached against the Medici's corruption. He believed his compassion would inspire the people to follow him, but his empathy blinded him to the cunning of the powerful. The Medici, masters of manipulation, orchestrated his downfall. Savonarola was betrayed by allies, imprisoned, and burned at the stake, his kindness reduced to ashes. Today, this dynamic is ubiquitous. At work, have you ever conceded in a negotiation out of pity for a colleague, only for them to take credit for your efforts? On social media, influencers exploit heart-wrenching stories, a stray dog, a struggling family, to sell products or garner clicks, while you, moved by empathy, give your time and money. To protect yourself, 1. Observe before feeling. Ask, what is the intention behind this plea? 2nd, test intentions. Offer small favors and see if they are reciprocated or exploited. 3. Set clear boundaries. Never sacrifice your interests without strategic calculation. Empathy that seeks to please everyone erodes your ability to lead. Machiavelli teaches that a leader must be feared and respected, not merely loved. Social psychology, like Max Weber's studies on charisma, shows that authority depends on a perception of strength and decisiveness. When you bend too much to empathy, you signal weakness, undermining others' respect. Neuroscience explains, the dopamine released when pleasing others can be addictive, but it compromises your ability to make tough decisions as you become a slave to approval. In Greek mythology, Agamemnon, king of the Achaeans in the Trojan War, made this mistake. After taking Briseis from Achilles, he tried to appease his warriors with empathetic gestures, fearing a revolt. But his attempt to please everyone weakened his authority. Achilles, feeling disrespected, abandoned the war, bringing the Greeks to the brink of defeat. Agamemnon's empathy cost lives and nearly destroyed his campaign. In the modern workplace, bosses who try to be everyone's friend lose their team's respect. On social media, creators who yield to every criticism lose their identity and audience. Uncontrolled empathy makes you seem vacillating, a leader without a spine. To correct this, 1. Practice calculated firmness. Say no with conviction when necessary. 2. Define your stance. Establish your priorities and communicate them with clarity and authority. 3. Cultivate mystery. Reveal only what is necessary about your feelings to maintain control of the narrative. Empathy can be used against you if not balanced with strategic distrust. Machiavelli warns that men use the appearance of virtue to manipulate. Evolutionary psychology, such as Paul Ekman's studies on lie detection, reveals that emotional expressions can be faked to exploit others' empathy. Blind trust in others' goodness is a vulnerability Machiavelli condemns as naivety. In 1502, Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's protege, demonstrated this masterfully. He invited rebellious leaders to a meeting in Senegalia, promising peace and reconciliation. Moved by empathy and hope, they attended, believing in his good faith. Borgia, however, betrayed them, executing them in an ambush. Their empathy was their ruin, Borgia's cunning his victory. Today, this is evident in digital scams. Crowdfunding campaigns exploit heart-wrenching stories to deceive donors. In love, toxic partners use emotional appeals to manipulate. To protect yourself, 1. Distrust emotional narratives. Always question the authenticity of stories that tug at your heartstrings. 2. Demand concrete evidence. Require objective proof before engaging emotionally. 3. Balance heart and mind. Use empathy to understand, but reason to decide. Empathy that prioritizes others above yourself destroys your autonomy. Machiavelli saw self-preservation as the foundation of power. Modern psychology, like DC and Ryan's self-determination theory, shows that neglecting your own needs due to excessive empathy leads to emotional exhaustion and loss of identity. Empathy must serve your purpose, not rule you. In Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus faces the sirens, whose song appeals to empathy for their pain. Seduced, he could have abandoned his mission. But, with discipline, he ties himself to the mast, resisting temptation. His determination saved him where empathy would have destroyed him. At work, saying yes to every request out of empathy leads to burnout. On social media, yielding to social pressures to conform steals your authenticity, turning you into an echo of others. To maintain control, 1. Prioritize your goals. Before helping, ask, does this align with my objectives? 2. Practice self-care. Reserve time for your needs without guilt. 3. Say no without remorse. Reject demands that compromise your integrity. So far, we have unveiled the 4 pillars of unchecked empathy's weakness. It makes you manipulable, erodes your authority, can be a weapon against you, and sabotages your self-mastery. You now see the trap clearly, but recognizing the problem is only the first step. Next, we enter darker, more powerful territory. Machiavelli's tactics to transform empathy into a tool of power. These lessons are not for the faint-hearted. They demand courage, discipline, and an unflinching will to face reality without illusions. Empathy must be a tool to understand others, not to serve them. Machiavelli teaches that knowing others' intentions is the key to control. The psychology of theory of mind, studied by Simon Baron-Cohen, distinguishes cognitive empathy, understanding others, from affective empathy, feeling with others. The former is a weapon, the latter, a weakness. Use empathy to predict, not to surrender. In 1513, Machiavelli advised the Medici to decipher the emotions of the Florentine people. They used festivals and promises to quell revolts, maintaining power without yielding to compassion. In corporate negotiations, use empathy to anticipate objections and shape your offer. On social media, understand what drives audience reactions to create resonant content without bowing to their demands. For example, a content creator analyzes comments to identify audience desires, adjusting their tone without losing their voice. To apply 1, read between the lines, observe body language, tone, and silences to capture true intentions. 2, use strategic questions. Make others reveal their desires without exposing yours. 3, control the narrative. Direct empathy to strengthen your position, not to yield. Empathy is most powerful when used to build calculated alliances. Machiavelli saw alliances as pillars of power. Robert Cialdini's studies on influence show that empathy fosters reciprocity, but only if used purposefully. Strategic empathy creates bonds that serve your goals. In 1502, Cesare Borgia won allies like the Duke of Urbino by showing selective empathy, praising their ambitions and offering calculated favors. When Urbino rebelled, Borgia had already secured initial loyalty, buying time to consolidate power. At work, use empathy to build networks that open doors. A colleague you help today may be an advocate tomorrow. On social media, show genuine interest in other creators to forge partnerships, but always with a clear goal. To implement, 1, choose allies carefully. Invest empathy in those who can return value, like mentors or influential peers. 2, create mutual obligations. Offer favors that foster future loyalty, like sharing valuable knowledge. 3, maintain control. Never let the alliance depend more on you than you on it. Empathy is a tactic, not an end in itself. Machiavelli teaches that every action must serve a greater purpose. Behavioral psychology, like Daniel Kahneman's studies, shows that emotions can distort decisions, leading to irrational choices. Empathy must be a means to achieve your ends, not a master that controls you. In the Iliad, Achilles uses empathy to manipulate Priam, king of Troy, by returning Hector's body. His compassion was strategic, ensuring his reputation as a magnanimous hero, not just a brutal warrior. In online debates, use empathy to disarm opponents. Acknowledge their viewpoint before presenting yours, gaining credibility. At work, show interest in a boss's concerns to position your idea as a solution. For example, a manager listens to a superior's complaints about deadlines, then uses this to pitch a plan that benefits them. To apply, 1, plan your empathy. Before an interaction, define how it will serve your goals. 2, control your emotions. Pause and assess if your compassion aligns with your interests. 3, use empathy as bait. Show understanding to gain trust, but never lose focus. True mastery combines empathy with unrelenting discipline. Machiavelli saw virtue as the ability to adapt to reality. Positive psychology, like Angela Duckworth's studies on grit, shows that resilience requires balancing empathy with determination. Tempered empathy is the key to enduring power. In 1512, the Medici reclaimed Florence by using empathy to appease the people with promises of prosperity, but discipline to exile opponents without hesitation. Their blend of compassion and firmness ensured control for generations. In entrepreneurship, leaders like Elon Musk use empathy to inspire teams, connecting with their aspirations, but demand results with iron discipline. On social media, successful creators show vulnerability to connect with audiences, but maintain consistency to build a solid brand. To achieve this, 1. Cultivate resilience. Use empathy to connect, but discipline to act. 2. Set clear boundaries. Never let empathy compromise your long-term vision. 3. Practice introspection. Reflect regularly to ensure your empathy serves you, not enslaves you. You now hold the complete map to transform empathy from weakness to strength. First, we unveiled the 4 pillars of unchecked empathy's trap. It makes you manipulable, as Savonarola learned in Florence, erodes your authority, as Agamemnon discovered in Troy, can be a weapon against you, as Senegalia's rebels experienced, and sabotages your self-mastery, as Odysseus nearly succumbed to the sirens. These pillars expose the peril of blind compassion. Then, we revealed the tactics of mastery, using empathy as a mirror to predict intentions, as the Medici did in Florence, as a lever for alliances, as Borgia with Urbino, as a strategy to persuade, as Achilles with Priam, and as a tool tempered by discipline, as the Medici in their conquest. These 8 principles form an interconnected system, a diagnosis that exposes the trap and a cure that forges power. But a solemn warning: this knowledge is a sharpened blade. It can be used to manipulate or inspire, to destroy or build. The choice is yours. Use it to rise, to understand the world, and to shape your destiny with precision. True mastery lies not in blind kindness, but in strength tempered by wisdom. In the comments, share which of these 8 principles you find most challenging to apply and why. If this journey of self-mastery resonates with you, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the secrets of the human mind. And if this knowledge holds value, your like is the signal that it must reach more people.